An experiment the city of Boston started a few months ago when they decided to hike parking rates in a couple of high-volume neighborhoods where finding a free space was getting to be like winning the lottery. In the Back Bay, it seems to be working, but not exactly the way it was supposed to. Adam Riley has more.
If you think of the Back Bay as a neighborhood where parking is brutally hard to come by, it might be time to think again. This morning, despite some beautiful spring weather, a bevy of spots on Berkeley Street sat empty, sometimes for a few minutes and sometimes for quite a bit longer. Meg Meinzer-Cohen says that never used to happen.
It was literally impossible. You would drive around and around trying to find a space.
Meinzer-Cohen heads the Back Bay Association and says things changed after the launch of a city trial that hiked parking rates in that neighborhood. 2 hours now cost you a cool $7.50 plus. The thinking was that higher rates would create more turnover and drive more traffic to local businesses.
We think that the program's been a success. In fact, we think it's been too much of a success.
Because now, Meinzer-Cohen says, those new increased prices actually seem to be keeping customers away.
Our hypothesis is that the cost is a little too high.
Which has the ring of truth until I head to G20 Spot on Newbury Street a few blocks to the west. There, client relations director Lisa Hills tells me that at first, pricier parking did hurt the bottom line.
In the beginning, definitely. Clients were coming a little bit less.
But now, Hills says, most patrons seem to have adjusted to paying a couple extra bucks before, say, getting a $125 massage. The bad news, at least in this particular part of the neighborhood, finding a parking space is as hard as it's ever been.
It's still not opened up much parking, and I think that was their intent, was to try and get people to move quicker and not be here all day, but I don't think that's happening.
So if everyone in the Back Bay is dissatisfied, but for totally different reasons, what's the city to do? One possibility, hike rates even higher near Mass Ave, but drop them just a bit over by the Public Garden. Meg Meinzer-Cohen has a particular price point in mind.
I believe it should be about $6.
Which could work like a charm or render the whole Back Bay unparkable once more.
Adam Riley joins me now. I hate to perpetuate a stereotype, but if I may, I don't exactly get the sense that the person shopping in the Back Bay, for the most part, is sensitive to an extra couple of bucks in parking to do. Is
right.
that
I tend to think
to
of
say?
Guys rolling up to Hermes in their Bentleys or whatever.
I'm so glad you said it too.
There are the establishments that would have me thrown out if I walked through the door. Maybe not you, but then there's TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and there's all the kind of funky small eateries and cafes where you might spend as much on parking as you would on a meal.
So I apologize already.
So I'm right there with you.
What does the city say? Does the city think it's a problem or at all? Are they saying anything about this?
I talked to the woman who runs this program. Was one of these two pilots in the Seaport in the Back Bay.
Yeah, I want to get to the Seaport, yeah.
She says that she has heard both good and bad feedback when it comes to the Back Bay. People who say, I could never find a place to park here, and now I can. It's so wonderful. And the people who say, oh, I see 3 empty spaces. Clearly you're charging too much money. They are going to put out a preliminary study sharing what they found in June, but the program's going to run all year.
So for the time being, it is what it is.
It is what it is at the moment.
But it's different. You mentioned the Seaport. It's different in the Seaport.
It's different in the
How?
Seaport. It's more complex over there. So in Back Bay, they went from $250 for 2 hours to $750. In the Seaport, there aren't as many cars. They don't think it's as much of a problem, so they're trying to push people from busy parking streets to quieter parking streets. So
within the Seaport.
They've divvied up the parking day into 3 slots of 4 hours each, and they are increasing the costs in some meters at some hours, decreasing them in other meters in other hours, and on average, apparently, like 50% of the meters, the cost has dropped. They've gone up in 25, and they're going to kick the tires on that at the end of the year, too.
If you have questions, call him. Adam, thank you so much.